didn't say that. What is this? Do you want that?
It's not mine. That's someone else's.
It is someone
Let's see
else.
here. Oh, we can talk about the Dignity Act housing affordability speech. Whoop, this can go right there. Wow.
Hey, Lauren, we're starting. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your attendance, and thank you primarily for your attention to this matter. We are here because we're concerned about the safety and the welfare of children, and in particular, the use of surrogacy to just get around it, quite honestly, to put it in very simple terms. So what we have here is two bills we're introducing: the Protecting Kids from Creeps Act, or H.R. 9131. So what is the problem? The problem is that very few states, including Pennsylvania, have any law which prohibit what I'm about to tell you about, which is horrific. There is a lack of legal guardrails in many states that allow sex offenders to obtain legally children via surrogacy, regardless of their criminal history. Without reform, babies and children are in danger of abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and all the worst things and horrific things you can think of. Now, recently in Pennsylvania, a registered sex offender and his husband obtained a baby through surrogacy. He's a former teacher arrested in 2016 for engaging in sexual activity, solicitous with a 16-year-old student, nude photos, videos, and requests for explicit sexual activity. Phone records of this individual showed over 12,000 text messages and explicit victim videos from May of 2013 to December of 2014. The dude was designated a Tier 1 sex offender, which requires registration and annual verification. In 2025, the sex offender posted a video of their child's first birthday. The couple with the sex offender posted a video of their child's first birthday. Their child. Where did the baby come from? It didn't come from either one of these men. The baby was acquired through surrogacy, through an agency who did no background check. And the offender just happened to forget to mention that he was a Tier 1 offender. The couple then posted a GoFundMe page to help pay for the surrogacy. And, of course, they didn't tell any of the people on the GoFundMe page that one of them was a registered sex offender. Many states have no provisions to prevent or prohibit this situation, and there's no parity among states. So this, even though there might be some states that have some regulation, the people in that state can just go to another state and be provided a child through surrogacy. What this legislation does, the Protecting Kids from Creeps Act, it compels surrogate agencies to increase screening standards and protect children from these pedophiles and these predators. It imposes civil and criminal penalties on the agencies themselves and the people that operate them, as well as the pedophile who has tried to obtain a child through surrogacy. Criminal liability on agency leadership for negligence is 10 years, and for willful knowing intent is 20 years in prison. It also makes sure that agencies that violate this cannot receive federal grant money. So that's number one. That's number one. We don't want these pedophiles finding a way to get children. It's just, I can't even, look, I can't tell you, I can't imagine that child's life. I can't imagine that child's life. And the United States and state government is doing nothing to protect it. And then we also have the second bill we would like to introduce, or have introduced and already have co-sponsorship, is the Preventing International Surrogacy Exploitation Act, which is H.R. 9132. And again, what is the problem? International commercial surrogacy, birth tourism. It's a national security threat. It invites immigration fraud and malfeasance. And most importantly, it is an ethical, moral imperative because we are allowing, if not facilitating, child endangerment. What provoked this legislation? We have learned through many testimonies that surrogacy process is being exploited by wealthy foreigners who then get the benefit of an American citizen that can later provide dual citizenship for the foreign parent. But it's actually worse than that. There's a Chinese billionaire who had 20 children through a U.S.-based surrogacy in the last couple years. I'm just giving you some examples. Some Chinese parents pay millions of dollars in surrogacy fees and hire women to help build families of jaw-dropping size. This guy named Xu calls himself China's first father. On social media, his company has said that he has more than 100 children born through surrogacy in the United States of America. According to sources close to his education company, Chinese executive Wang Weihu hired U.S. models as egg donors to have 10 girls with the aim of one day marrying them off to powerful men. This is grotesque. It is atrocious. Other surrogacy professionals describe similar head-spinning numbers. One owner of a California agency said he helped fill an order for another Chinese parent seeking 100 children. In the past few years, the request was spread over multiple agencies. Purportedly, this individual kept mailing his sperm, paying for surrogates, had the babies, had them raised by nannies. He never even interacts with these children. There's a story of a wealthy Chinese businessman who, like Wang, also in the education business, wanted more than 200 children at once using surrogates, envisioning a family enterprise. Now, many countries, Australia, Brazil, Canada, the UK, China, Denmark, France, Germany, India, Nepal, Italy, New Zealand, Portugal, Spain, Thailand, and Taiwan ban international commercial surrogacy for the same reasons it needs to be banned in the United States of America. We originally started this endeavor addressing China, but realized that birth tourism is more than just China. And by the way, ironically, surrogacy is banned altogether in the communist nation of China. We don't want to invite this fraud and malfeasance in immigration. We also don't want to be creating spies with American passports who are raised in China and have their allegiance to the Communist Party of China. These unrestricted surrogacies allow for foreign nationals, including those adversarial to the United States, to obtain their citizenship through surrogacy of their children. If you live in one of these countries and you want to have a surrogate child, do that in your country. Don't come to America. Now, one of the other problems is we don't really know the numbers. The number of international surrogacies increased from 2,758 babies in 2014 to 4,905 in 2019. And those, we don't have any current numbers because no one really tracks this. As a matter of fact, some states are very permissive. California being one of them. Even though surrogacy is illegal in China, there are 3 California facilities, Global Fertility, M. Lang Surrogacy, and Sunshine Surrogacy, that list offices in China where surrogacy of any kind is illegal. Now, upon receiving automatic U.S. citizenship, many infants born through international surrogate contracts are quickly thrown back to adversarial countries such as China. Per the Wall Street Journal, the market has grown so sophisticated, that some Chinese parents have had U.S.-born children without ever even stepping foot here. There's a thriving industry of American surrogacy agencies, law firms, clinics, delivery agencies, and nanny services, even to pick up newborns from hospitals, which accommodate the demand, permitting parents to ship their genetic material abroad and get a baby delivered back at a cost of up to $200,000 per child. Ladies and gentlemen, children are not pets. Children are not property. The statistics are harder to track because we don't keep any. Quite honestly, we have more statistics for adoption than we do for surrogacy. What this bill does, it prevents this international surrogacy and again provides criminal penalties, criminal and civil penalties for the people involved in it. in any involvement whatsoever. So we think it's high time and long overdue that this happens. I do want to say that this bill exempts 2 prospective parents where at least one is a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident of the United States of America, because we understand that families are important to Americans and we want to enable that. But it also doesn't impose restrictions to ensure surrogacy or IVF clinic channels aren't exploited by foreign nationals without allegiance to the U.S. or current former sex offenders. So that's what we're trying to get after, the sex offenders and the surrogacy market of American children to foreign actors and the abuse of those children. I want to recognize 2 of my colleagues that are here today. I'm going to start with Randy Fine from the great state of Florida for his remarks. Randy.
Well, thank you. As I heard those stories about 200 children, I was thinking having 2 is hard enough. So anyone who wants to have 200 kids, we ought to examine their head anyway. But I think that's perhaps a different bill. I want to thank Congressman Perry for frankly being a mentor to me as I've joined Congress just over a year ago and being focused on the issues that matter to Americans. And this would be one. Surrogacy is a special, almost holy procedure. It should be used for 2 people who are simply unable to have a child on their own. And they're so committed to having one that they have to bring someone else into the process in order to have that most special experience that we can have as adults, that of raising a child. But like so many things in our culture, this noble, special, almost holy process where someone gives of themselves to make someone else a parent has been perverted and bastardized for those who would seek to do evil. First off, those who are sex offenders, who literally wish to purchase a human being, because surrogacy generally involves money, to purchase a human being of the kind that they may have mistreated before. And then second, the idea of facilitating human trafficking and birth tourism, literally buying an American passport in the form of a baby. Surrogacy was not designed for either of these things. And frankly, these behaviors put the entire idea of surrogacy at risk, because you can reach a point where people will go, you know what, we simply shouldn't allow it if people are going to misuse it. So these bills are going to solve a problem, because any time that we can save and protect a child, we are saving the world. So I thank Congressman Perry for running these 2 bills. I'm excited to support them, and I look forward to making sure that we're protecting both babies and children from sexual predators, as well as from those who would simply see them as a means to a passport to the United States of America. So thank you, Congressman Perry.
Thank you, Randy. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support. Now I recognize the gentleman from Tennessee, Tim Burchett.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you bringing this important legislation. Scott Perry is one of those members of Congress that takes a stand on the tough issues. And this is obviously a tough issue. Why are there not more members of Congress here? Well, dadgummit, I'll tell you why. Because you got money on one side and you got the people on the other. And so many times the people get stomped on. And in this case, it's little kids. And it sickens me to my core. Protecting Kids from Creep Act aligns with policy I've been working on since I was in the state legislature. I passed some of the toughest laws in the country. Some of them are vaguely unconstitutional that were in when I was in Tennessee, and I'm proud of that fact. Our children are our future. They deserve to be protected. A sex offender, these dirtbags, we need to send them all to hell, but they got no right to obtain a child through surrogacy. They lost that right when they committed a disgusting crime that put them on this list. The United States birth laws also need to be protected and regulated. Birth tourism has risen dramatically over the course of the last decade. I mean, what the hell are we thinking as a nation? Birth tourism. How is that even possible in this day and age? This is a type of bill that ought to be very little discussion. Make sure we got all the I's dotted and the T's crossed and get this thing to the president. But you watch it. Everybody watch it. You call on your legislators. Foreign nationals using U.S.-based surrogacy agencies exploit our country's immigration laws. And I want to thank Congressman Perry and everybody else here today. I'm going to quote my Savior, if it's all right with Randy. You okay with that?
I won't mind.
Jesus said, he said, how you treat the least amongst you is how you treat me. And this shows how we treat these young people. And we need to treat them right. We need to treat them with respect. They're human beings. And this country will be damned to hell if we do not start turning the corner on these issues. Again, I thank my man Scott Perry. Since I've been in Congress, he's been one of those guys that always votes his conscience and does what's right for the people of his district. Thank you all very much.
Thank you all. I'm just going to say one kind of last thing as an overarching theme to all of this. I'm looking around the people that are here. In your whole lifetime, for almost all of America's existence, the welfare of the child was the primary concern of our society. And only in these last few decades has now that become a tertiary issue. It is the interest of individuals that has become the primacy and not the welfare of the child. When you can purchase a child as a sex offender, when you can purchase multiple, maybe 100 children as a foreign national for the interest of whatever you have, whether it's human trafficking, whether it's to marry them off for money, whether it's to then send them back to this country to be subversive to this nation or to gain your citizenship through their citizenship, none of that is dealing with the well-being and the good fortune of children. And so we want to highlight that as a prime motivation for this legislation and for our culture. It is time, as Tim and Randy has said, to get back to what's important and protect the least among us who cannot protect themselves. And so that's why this legislation is important, and that's why we want to see it elevated as soon as possible, and that's why we asked you all to be here today so that you can get the word out that this is now available, that people that do this can be held accountable and should be held accountable, and we need to get this to the president's desk as soon as we can. And we do want to see who votes no on something like this. We want to see that because we want our bosses, the American people, to see who's okay with sending their children to China or who's okay with sending their children to a pedophile. And with that, I will take your questions. Yes, ma'am. Well, see you, Randy. Thank you.
See you, Randy.
So two things. First of all, this has nothing to do with the Supreme Court case. Protecting children is irrespective of what the Supreme Court does. Certainly I have an opinion on what I think they should do, but this needs to happen either way because these children are being exploited and have been exploited regardless of what they do. Whether Xi Jinping, look, this is outlawed in China, so apparently Xi Jinping cares more about his children than America's children, and I understand that. He's the leader of China, not the United States of America, but we should care about our children at least as much as Xi Jinping does. And what he should do, if he actually does care about children in general, is outlaw the surrogacy from his country to our country. He should outlaw that as well. I can't force him to do that, but I can offer this in the United States of America, and with my good friends and colleagues, we can try and push this across the finish line. Well, I certainly think that he could bring this up to the leader of the Communist Party of China and say that it is unacceptable in any civilization to abuse and to allow the abuse of children. And this is essentially the systematic, sanctioned abuse of children by his country and unfortunately by many in our country. Yes, sir. We just introduced it, so I haven't even talked to him about it. We wanted to get it out as soon as we could. We got it to the point where we think it's as good as it can be for a discussion now. I will talk to him this afternoon about it. I already talked to the Judiciary Chairman about it, so he knows it's coming. I know we have a short time frame, but we believe this is an issue that's not 80-20. We believe this is probably 95-5, and the 5%, as my friend from Tennessee said, are probably the people that are profiting from this. Yes, ma'am. I do expect a response from California Democrats. Unfortunately, they could have introduced this legislation. These things are occurring in their backyard. They were easy for us to find. Apparently, they not only don't care about it, they're good with it. So I do expect a response. But look, we're on the high ground here. It doesn't matter what the response is. I don't know how you can defend sending children, newborns, to pedophiles. Look, there's a mansion in California where people roll up to it like it's a drive-through and pick up these babies and send them to China. This is horrific, and it's horrific that it's happening in the United States of America, yet it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your attendance and your attention to this matter, and we hope you will report favorably on it. Thank you.
Thank you all.
I appreciate you being here.